You're watching live player profiler today, Friday. It says down there on the little thing with Brendan Booth. I'm a host, Brendan Booth. I'm not the host anymore. And on the little video, it says with Brendan Booth. It should say, and it will say as soon as possible with bigz and Chev, because now we are two hosts. So welcome. We're going to go over the continuing injury apocalypse this week. We're going to preview some week 6 games. We'll talk about the 49ers win against the Seahawks last night, and then we'll get to our top story, the QB carousel. We all remember last fantasy football season when there were like 92 different quarterbacks that started games in the NFL due to various injuries and what have you. Well, it's happening again. We've got 3 more starts this year or this
My
week that
goodness.
are first starts of the season for the 3 main quarterbacks that we're going to talk about. But before we get started, like the show, share it around, tell your friends about it, send it to your family that likes football.
Yes.
Leave some comments, follow us on Twitter. I'm at BigBonedFFB. I stuttered. I'm at BigBonedFFB. He is at Chev90. Find our archive of the news desk blurbs that we write at the Player Profiler news desk, and that's at playerprofiler.com/news. Also, follow Player Profiler News on Twitter. If you're new to the show and you're watching it on YouTube, we're at profiler_NFL. So go do all that. So, of course, with me this week is my co-host from the news desk, Chev, aka Justin Curry, co-host of the Two Guys One Pod. What's going on, man?
Oh man, just another week. I am coming to the realization that the Seahawks might be the worst run defense in the league outside of the Carolina Panthers.
Have you
But
watched the Raiders game?
well, I didn't want to do that to you. I didn't want to do that to you. I didn't want to do that to you. I was gonna leave them out, but also maybe.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I mean, I had two. So in our preview show, I had my Super Bowl favorites and my dark horses. And the 49ers, of course, were my favorite.
Right. As
They, of
one
course,
does.
started 2-3. And then my dark horses were Seattle and New Orleans. I thought Detroit wasn't a dark horse. Everybody is kind of
Oh yeah,
like,
everybody's on Detroit now. Their win total was like 11 and a half, if
yeah,
I'm not
they were the
mistaken.
trendy pick to be like, oh, I can't pick the 49ers, so I'm going to pick the Lions. But other than those two teams representing the NFC, I thought it was going to be either the Seahawks or the Saints. I thought that they were very underrated, mostly because we didn't know what we were going to get from Ryan Grubb and Clint Kubiak.
Right.
What we're getting, what we expected to get from those guys, we're just not getting it on the defensive side of the ball from
Oh
either of
man.
those teams, which is sad. So the
Well,
four, oh, go ahead.
Saints hadn't been awful defensively, not as bad as the Seahawks have been for sure.
Right. But
Um,
but the Seahawks they're supposed to have the big secondary. They're supposed to have like the big defensive line. They're supposed to have the linebacker legacy, and they've been score uponable.
oh man, yeah. They. So you give up 129 yards to Tyrone Tracy, and I get real concerned. Like Tyrone Tracy with no Malik Neighbors as a passing game threat,
Sure.
and Daniel Jones at quarterback. So it's like, man, we're gonna go ahead and just line up 11 people on the line of scrimmage, and that just didn't. The Seahawks chose not to do that for some reason, and then they, gave up over 200 yards rushing last night.
Yeah,
So
and that kind of leads into like what we're going to be talking about in terms of injury news. The 49ers going to Seattle last night absolutely boat raced them. It became a game when the game script turned on Seattle and they had to start playing catch up. Uh, Tyler Lockett had a nice touchdown. DK Metcalf looked good. He and George Pickens, man, those two guys are victims of bad offensive line play and plays getting called back. It seems like every week DK has a touchdown that gets called back for holding or illegal shift or something like that.
yeah, we need to
Um,
keep a stat for unreal like penalty yards negated.
They somebody does that, and on my Raiders Steelers head-to-head show on Wednesday, they pointed out that George Pickens would be like wide receiver 3 if he got all of the plays that he's completed that were called back
That
for
is,
by
oh my
penalties,
gosh,
right?
that makes me sick to my stomach.
Right.
I
uh Kenneth Walker looked good. We knew he would. Zach Charbonnet had a big play. um though I got bars, man. um and then on the 49ers side of the ball, Debo had a breakout passing play.
yeah,
George Kittle is doing George Kittle things. And Jordan Mason was running the ball real well and hurt his shoulder, got pulled out of the game, tried to come back in. He couldn't go. So they stayed with Isaac Garendo. That's another rhyme. What is happening? Um, I'm just freestyling all over
did
the
you
place.
did you did you just become a rapper overnight?
No, no,
Okay,
no.
all right. Okay, all right.
Because one raps does not make one a rapper.
That's true.
Um,
Confucius said that.
uh, so Isaac Rendo, waiver wire priority
Absolutely,
for next waiver
absolutely.
run.
Whoever, yeah. So whoever, like, I mean, yes, it's going to be Isaac Garendo. I would even take a shot on whoever the backup is to Isaac Garendo, whoever like the third guy that's just playing special teams right
Patrick
now.
Taylor.
Patrick Taylor. Oh, Memphis guy. Let's go. For
Yeah,
some
and
reason, my mind has not accepted the fact that he's not in Green Bay anymore.
right, and so he goes to San Francisco as a free agent signing. So you think, okay, well they have CMC, and then they've got monetary investment in Patrick Taylor, and Garendo or Mason has been established as the backup, and then Garendo passes Patrick Taylor on the depth chart as a rookie. But then Patrick Taylor came into the game last night, and he looked every bit as good as Garendo did. So
Yeah.
that's just a product of the system. It's plug and play. Whoever has the designation of getting snaps on the 49ers is going to score points, period.
Whoever the adorned shanty back is, just put him in your lineup.
The adorned shanty back. That's great. All right. Injury news. We have Neighbors. Malik Neighbors was declared out today. Jonathan Taylor is listed as questionable, but likely won't play. Ramondre Stevenson is out. Rashad White is doubtful and doesn't look like he's going to play. So we've got running back issues in Indy. I picked up one of their backups today. I don't even know the guy's name.
Tyler
Um,
Goodson.
yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
And then you got Garendo coming out next week. Mason may play in a couple weeks, or
Yeah. It just depends on how long it takes the Toradol to numb everything out.
right. But Ramondre being down is and Antonio Gibson is
Gibson,
he's back
baby.
up, I
Gibson,
guess. Another
baby.
Memphis guy.
Yes, sir.
Uh, and along with Tyrone Tracy, another wide receiver to running back conversion.
Yeah.
And then in Philadelphia land, you have the returns of AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. Good news for Jalen Hurts, or bad matchup for Devonta Smith. Huge Saquon Barkley game. What do you see from this one?
So I was pretty bullish on Jalen Hurts just because we haven't gotten. I predicted him preseason to be my QB1. Like that was just, I was like, Kellen Moore, we're finally going to get the volume. Their defense took a step back. They have all the weapons. Devonta Smith in the slot is a Cooper Cup level cheat code. And immediately, Jalen Hurts, I mean, we lose A.J. Brown week 1. And then, it's just been kind of without him. So I think this is the breakout week where they finally get everything rolling. And the best part is they get the Browns, who technically are 20th in fantasy points allowed to the quarterback position, but they're 10th in the wide receiver, like in points allowed to the wide receiver. So I'm thrilled about firing up Jalen Hurts this week. I mean,
Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown, yes. However, Devonta Smith in a game that's going to be a positive run script for Philadelphia, most likely. Cleveland only allows 9.9 points per game to slot receivers, which is among the league leaders. They're in the top 5 or 6, um, tied with Tennessee.
That's fair. That's fair.
So I'm not real big on Devonta Smith this week. And when that happens, usually when I look at the data and I say, okay, from this analysis, it's a bad week for him, and then this analysis, it's a bad week from him. They always go off. So
That's
this
fair.
is this isn't a fantasy show. Do with do with it what you will. All right, we do have some comments. Jamie is in the chat. Good evening, guys. Good evening,
Well,
Jamie.
hello.
Browns are horrible. Big game from Hurts coming.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, yes. I have him on several dynasty teams. So, yeah, we're going to speak it into existence.
Yeah, he's in a very important one for me as well. All right, so let's go and run down. Were there any injuries that I missed that you wanted to talk about that I didn't showcase?
No, no, Neighbors, Taylor, yeah, Taylor's probably out. What do you think's going to happen with Michael Pittman?
I think he's playing, and it's a terrible matchup.
So the thing yesterday, the notification we all got was like, hey, he's probably going to miss several weeks.
Right.
Like, maybe a candidate for IR. Like, and now he's back.
Like, psych.
Yeah, I like that. Wow, that's wild to me. It's absolutely wild to me.
I don't know what the deal is, and I don't want anything to happen to my Alec Pierce or Josh Downs shares.
So we're rooting for Flacco to start again.
Oh, of course.
Okay,
of course.
Right. I just wanted to make sure we were.
That helps Josh Downs. Alec Pierce is gonna shine whoever's throwing the ball. All right, so we'll start it off with the Sunday game at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It is the Jacksonville Jaguars at 1-4 against the Chicago Bears. Evan Ingram is back. Gabe Davis is questionable. That's it there. And then you got Jaquan Brisker and Terrell Smith out for the Bears. Tyreek Stevenson is doubtful. Tevin Jenkins and Jake Martin are questionable. Big game for the Jaguars coming back. Firing on all cylinders. They got Ingram out there. They got an established role for Bigsby. We know what Travis Etienne can do. The Jaguars love playing in London. Bears, last time they played in London, they lost to the Raiders. We're going with Jacksonville on this one, right?
I was you said that. You said that. I was not expecting you to say that. You said those words though, and I'm Trevor Lawrence in London turns into like prime Tom Brady somehow. Like when they beat the Bills over there last year, granted it was like they were coming off like a 90-play game or something insane like that. So they beat the Bills. Like they're really good, and offensively they figured it out. They figured something. Well, maybe the Colts are just really really bad, but they figured something out. I am going to go with Chicago at the gun.
Okay. Indianapolis is really bad. But Jacksonville was not 0-4 bad. Doug Peterson is 0-4 bad, but the talent on that roster was not.
Well, yeah, I agree.
We got a big Mid-Atlantic showdown in Baltimore where Jaden Daniels is taking the Washington Commanders, who are 4-1, which everybody saw coming, to the 3-2 Baltimore Ravens. Brian Robinson is questionable. Maybe hang on to your what's his name? I forgot.
Jeremy McNichols.
Jeremy McNichols. And then for the Ravens, they are out Broderick Washington, Malik Harrison, Arthur Mollett. Rasheen Ali is questionable. No need to get him back out there, but he might get a few touches just to kind of like get him into the mix if the game is out of hand or something. Marlon Humphrey is always hurt, so he should likely play. and Ronnie Stanley. Baltimore is we talked about on the NFC side the two favorites and some of the dark horses. The Ravens, they were everybody's non-Chiefs pick. Um,
They're playing the best ball in AFC right now, I would say.
do they hold court where they got come from behinded by the Raiders, or is Jaden Daniels going to be too much for him, or do they
Or
see enough of Lamar in practice that Jaden Daniels won't be an issue?
there's no way that you can. I mean, I feel like the Ravens are going to do a great job trying to keep him in the pocket and make him a passer. The problem is he's still really good as a passer.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you think about Cliff Kingsbury as a head coach, he's dialing it up right now. He seems to have learned from his mistakes with Kyler, and he's just kind of gradually putting it on Jaden Daniels' plate, and Jaden Daniels is passing every test with flying colors. So it's hard for me to say that, Jaden Daniels isn't going to be, as reliable of an option as he's been, because as good as they are against the run, like, they're probably going to have to line up and throw it 45 times. So I think Baltimore wins just because they don't have – Washington, even though they're playing better, they're playing with more confidence on defense, and they're actually getting breaks and not having to be on the field as much. I don't see a world where they're able to stop Derrick Henry from running for as many yards as he wants to.
Right. It's really like this week is shaping up really nicely for some of the fantasy running backs. Saquon Barkley, especially. We'll talk about him a little bit later, and Derrick Henry too. The Ravens defense though, they haven't exactly been as expected. They allowed a top 20 finish to Gardner Minshew in week 2.
Yeah.
And suddenly he was fantasy relevant. All right.
Hey, tell us which quarterback that you like from from that QB room in Las Vegas.
Oh, I'll get there. That's our top story.
I know.
Aiden O'Connell is not specifically the top story. He's just a part of it. All right. Arizona Cardinals traveling to Green Bay in Lambeau Field in October. I didn't look at the weather report. I should have. But Arizona is one of those tricky teams that they'll snap up and get you when you're not expecting it. So the Cardinals are out Zay Jones. He is suspended and stuff. And then Matt Prater. I don't know. He's out anyway. Matt Prater is questionable with the left knee. So, oh no, what happens with the kicker? And then for the Packers, Devontae Wyatt is out. Christian Watson is questionable. Water's wet and the sky is blue. Jair Alexander also questionable. Same. Water's wet and the sky is blue.
The earth might be flat. I don't know. Yeah.
No, Kyrie, stop it. Trap game for the Packers. And that was a question.
I would say it's a big Josh Jacobs game incoming. Currently, the high in Green Bay on Sunday is 55 degrees, winds at 10 to 20 miles an hour, with an 80% chance of rain.
Oh, that's beautiful then. That's perfect football weather.
Josh Jacobs. Yeah.
Watch out for Drew Petzing.
Yeah. I think that the Cardinals offensively are good enough to come in and just keep Kyler Murray, Drew Petzing, that pairing is good enough to keep them in any game. Full stop. What you can't do is let the other team have the ball for 35 minutes and then just try to win it at the gun. They did it last week against the 49ers, so anything is possible. But division games are weird, right?
Yeah.
And this might be just something ridiculous that I hold on to, but like West Coast teams, like Pacific time zone teams kicking off at noon, I'm incredibly bearish on. That's fair. I think that it ends up being a really, really big Josh Jacobs game, of course, because I'm going to start Jordan Love with confidence, And as I just said, there's, it's 55 and it's going to be rainy. And I don't know how that plays on. I mean, now I will say this: last year in Pittsburgh, they kicked butt. The Cardinals did with a rain delay in a rain and like a rain soaked environment, whatever you want to call it. So I'm still going to go with the Packers, but I think all of your Arizona fantasy options could get home. That also means that the Packers have to play on a slippery field, and James Conner is a man's man.
He sticks in the ground.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing. Like, it's going to be a possession game, and how do you keep the ball away from Jordan Love? You hand the ball off to James Conner. You scoot out of the pocket if you're Kyler Murray on third down, and you find Trey McBride when you can't find Marvin Harrison Jr. and Greg Dortch. I feel like Arizona is good enough to stay with the pack.
100% they're good enough to score.
I don't want to call an upset, but I'm gonna. I say the Cardinals win that game.
Oh, you like? Oh, really?
Just because I think Green Bay is. It's the Cardinals. Nobody thinks the Cardinals are going to jump up and bite them, but look what they did to the 49ers. I've had Rams guys on the show, and they basically said the same thing, like Seahawks guys, and they were like, the Cardinals are that team that nobody ever thinks that they're going to lose to, but half the year it happens.
Yeah. I mean, out of their 4 wins, 4 wins last year, 3 of them were against playoff teams.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
all right, now this one is easy to call. We got Houston traveling to New England. Part of our top story: Drake May will be the starting quarterback. Robert Woods is out for the Texans. So is Kwame Lassiter and Jimmy Ward. That's not good for their defensive backfield. Joe Mixon is a game time decision, and Derek Barnett is also questionable. For the Patriots, we already alluded, Ramondre Stevenson is out, and then their questionable list is Kendrick Bourne, KJ Osborne, Layden Robinson, Nick Leverett, Anthony Jennings, Sione Takitaki, Kyle Duggar, Isaiah Bolden, Marcus Jones, Marco Wilson, and Joe Cardona. That's a banged up squad. Yeah. I don't see the Patriots hanging with the Texans at all, even with Nico Collins on the IR. The Texans just have too much on both sides of the ball, and that's your big blowout of the week.
You think it's going to be a blowout?
I mean, anything can happen in the NFL, but you look at the Texans RB room, and it's like they're going to run out Ramondre and Ramondre. I'm such an idiot.
Joe Mixon,
Dameon Pierce, Joe Mixon may play. They got Dario Ogunbowale, but nothing in that backfield is 100% right now. Whether it's Dameon Pierce's efficiency or Ogunbowale's job or Mixon's health or any of that. So it might just be like 3 runs into the back or 2 runs into the back of the line and then find Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs.
Are you just completely out on Cam Akers?
Cam Akers too. No, I'm not out on him.
I thought it was a bit for a second because I was like,
no,
he has not mentioned Cam Akers at all. But I mean, he hasn't done anything with the opportunity to be worth mentioning. So
right, and he hasn't been like part of the news. The other 3 backs have all gotten like the news items because Pierce is coming back, and Mixon might, and Dare is like he's the same as he's always ever been. He'll come in a pinch and score a few points, and then everybody goes, "Oh my God, Ogunbowale, run to the waiver wire." And then he just disappears again.
Yep. I mean, I agree.
But I don't think the Patriots have they can't stop CJ Stroud, and if they can stop the run, they're still not going to stop CJ Stroud. And the Texans defense is good, and it's a rookie quarterback making his first start, and I like defenses, especially if I stream defense special teams in fantasy. I always try and stream a team that's playing a rookie quarterback, especially in their first start.
That's fair.
Which is happening in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling to New Orleans. It's a battle for the top of the division. 3-2 Tampa. If they lose, then they are tied with New Orleans 3-3, and Derek Carr is out with an oblique. So Spencer Rattler, the ugliest man in the NFL. I didn't say that.
It's okay.
Is
It's okay. It's okay.
making his first start. My biggest faded quarterback in fantasy rookie drafts since Will Levis. All right, for the Buccaneers, Trey Palmer is out. Christian Eisen is out. That's a stunner. So if you don't know Christian Eisen, I've talked about him on the show before. I've tried to figure out how to spell or how to pronounce his last name. Antoine Winfield Jr. went out 3 weeks ago, and Eisen came in his place, and there was absolutely no like missteps. He had 12 tackles, I think. Intercept, like he was right where Winfield. It was next man up all over the place. Rashad White is doubtful, but he's probably not going to play. My flag plant of the year, Jalen McMillan, is still dealing with a hamstring. He's questionable, but he's likely to play. Kalijah Cansey, which is a defensive lineman that is pretty instrumental in the Buccaneers defense. He is questionable as well. Jordan Whitehead and Antoine Winfield. For the Saints, again, Derek Carr is out with an oblique. Taysom Hill is on the IR with a broken rib. Cesar Ruiz is out with a knee injury from the offensive line. Pete Werner is a pretty good linebacker. He's out with a hamstring. And defensive back Will Harris is out. Condre Miller is still trying to get back on the field. Lucas Patrick is questionable, and Peyton Turner is questionable. It's Spencer Rattler. True to my word, I've picked up Tampa Bay's defense everywhere that I possibly can. Alvin Kamara has lost his injury designation, and so has Rashid Shaheed. But are we betting on Spencer Rattler to do what it takes to overcome and beat Tampa Bay?
Not to beat them, but to get the ball to Alvin Kamara, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Olave and Rashid Shaheed is more kind of like where I was going with that. But yeah, I could dump off to Alvin Kamara all game long.
Yeah, this could be another 13 reception, 40-yard game or whatever it was last. 13 for 33, that's what it was. Yeah, we could get another 13 receptions for 33 yards from Alvin Kamara. And then so from our account, I tweeted out earlier this week that the Spencer Rattler snippet from his press conference where he said, "Yeah, man, that guy's special. Whenever he's in the game, I'm trying to get him the ball." So how that works out, I don't know. I mean, if you're gonna do it, maybe you could do it against Tampa, but also Todd Bowles could absolutely have this dude in a blender and just seeing ghosts on the sideline like Sam Darnold did. I felt like I knew ball, and Bo Nix came and slapped me in the face when I started Tampa Bay's defense against him in week 3. So we'll see.
I don't want to hear that name again. Maybe Spencer Rattler is not as dumb as I look. And also Dennis Allen, I never thought of it before, but hey, reach out. I could dump off to Alvin Kamara all day. All right. Browns going into Philadelphia. The Browns are a clown show at this point. Philadelphia is trying to work themselves back in the NFC conversation. Nick Chubb is still out. Naeem Hines is still out. James Hudson is out. Ethan Posich is out. Grant Delpit is out. Ronnie Hickman is out. Raiders legend Maurice Hurst, he is questionable. Mohamed Diabate, Jordan Hicks, and Denzel Ward are all questionable as well. For the Eagles, they have 0 injury designations to report.
Oh, this should be an absolute bloodbath.
So over under on Saquon Barkley yards, 199.5.
Smash the over and then take an alternate line and then take that at like 227.5. This is not financial advice, guys. Don't do that. But also, maybe do it. I don't know. I'm not responsible for what you do or don't do as an adult.
Hurts total yards.
Hurts total yards. Hurts anytime touchdown. Saquon anytime touchdown. Not financial advice. I'm just a guy talking ball.
Right, because as soon as we put that out on the internet on like live stream, Browns upset Philly 33 to 0.
Deshaun Watson career performance.
Right.
That would require him to be able to throw the ball with accuracy and power, and those are neither one of the things that he has anymore. So I feel pretty safe, but also I felt safe before, and it has not worked out in my favor.
I'm going to take my $5 underdog budget and I'm just going to hit that game.
Yeah,
And all
and
Eagles.
double and quintuple your money.
Yeah. All right. The next one is relevant to your interests. We have the Indianapolis Colts traveling to Nissan Stadium in Nashville, Tennessee, to take on the Tennessee Titans. 2-3 versus 1-3 in a divisional tilt. Colts are out. Jonathan Taylor. Questionable is Anthony Richardson with an oblique. He might or might not play. Josh Downs has a toe issue. Michael Pittman is questionable, but he has said that he's going to play. Braden Smith is somebody important on the offensive line. And Kenny Moore, they look like garbage without him. On the Titans side, Jamal Adams, Cedric Gray, and Keandre Coburn are the only injury designations. Nobody is questionable, except for Will Levis's
Decision making,
um,
ability to play the quarterback
yeah.
position, all of the above. I'm not going to do it.
So Tennessee has not looked great. They're actually is that the they have allowed the fewest. I think it's the fewest total. Yeah, fewest total fantasy points to wide receivers in the entire
Yes.
National Football League. Is that because their run defense is garbage?
No, it's because we heavily invested. So I'm a Titans fan for anybody new to the show. L'Jarius Sneed takes away your best receiver. That's just kind of a given at this point. And then, between Jeff Simmons, Harold Landry, Arden Key, Tavondre Sweat, like we've got
Raiders
a really good pass
Arden
rush.
Key.
Yeah, that guy. But like our run defense was actually the bread and butter, and then going and getting Sneed and a couple other key additions in the secondary, it allowed us to be able to play a lot more man and trust the pass rush to get home. So it should be a difficult matchup, but also division games are weird. We just saw them go down to Jacksonville and score 34 points or whatever. Yeah, 34 points. So, I don't mind. I wouldn't mind playing the Titans DST because there's no Jonathan Taylor. But also Alec Pierce is a known Titan killer. I want to say his 2 touchdowns last year came against us. So, that's plus I have now planted my flag with Alec Pierce. So I'm in.
Yeah. So are we looking at this as like a struggle bus game or a big
100%. If Joe Flacco plays, I think it could turn into a shootout. Like the Titans should be able to score the ball. That shouldn't be a question. DeAndre Hopkins, I made him my start of the week on the show earlier this week. Tony Pollard, like I said, Tony Pollard was 22 carries for 88 yards and a touchdown last week against another run funnel type of defense. I don't know what exactly the Colts' game plan is, like Gus Bradley's game plan is to try to take anything away, or if it's just like allow yards.
That's not what he does. So as a Raider fan, I had Gus Bradley. I also watched him when he was the Chargers defensive coordinator, and 2 of my good friends are both Colts fans, so we talk a lot about Gus Bradley. And his drop 3 zone defense is not good. It's bend don't break. It's let them march and then stop them at the goal line, which gives up a ton of yards and a ton of scoring opportunities. And if they falter or fail, if they have like Kenny Moore out with an injury, say, then they're not good. I don't understand how that guy keeps getting a job. His defensive play design is terrible. It's also confusing. Like he has veterans that don't know what's happening when play calls come in. Like it's baffling that he still has a job. On the other hand, you have a Titans offense that hasn't shown much since Derrick Henry left.
Right.
So it should be a fun one. Like who knows what's going to happen?
The Titans should be able to score the ball. point blank period. The Titans should be able to score the ball. It should be a little bit more difficult for the Jags, the Colts to score the ball. However, like, okay, if Anthony Richardson's playing, I'll say this. I like the Titans to win by a lot. If Joe Flacco is playing,
they'll keep it close.
It'll be close, but I still like the Titans.
Okay. Everybody go out and bet the Titans. Chev said so.
Not financial advice.
Put the house on it.
If I say not financial advice, then I can no longer be held to the take. I can just say that I was neutral and that I was just talking about my team.
Also, that was satire on my part, so don't.
I know.
No, I was telling the audience. All right. Next matchup is the Los Angeles Chargers coming off their rest week against the Denver Broncos, coming off a shattering of the Las Vegas Raiders' hopes and dreams. We watched the Jets go into Denver and hold Bo Nix to 60 yards passing total. And then he got right against the Raiders in a game in which Christian Wilkins got hurt and left and now is lost for the season. Bo Nix had his little like mini coming out party. The Broncos had been 0-8 against the Las Vegas Raiders in the Las Vegas Raiders existence, and now they're 1-8. And then the Chargers, Justin Herbert has had a week to rest up, and Ladd McConkey is a huge flag plant rest of the season. Chargers out Gus Edwards, Sante Samuel Jr. and Jasir Taylor. Questionable Rashawn Slater, Joey Bosa, Nick Neiman, Christian Fulton, Deion Leonard. For the Broncos, Josh Reynolds is out. Alex Palchevsky is out. Luke Wattenberg. Audric Estime is questionable. Good to hear. Hope he comes back soon. And Damari Mathis, but not a whole lot in that. Now, Chargers got off to a quick start. Everyone was like, "Oh, look, Chargers are back," and then they lost. They dropped a couple games. Broncos were like, "Oh, they're garbage," and then they sneak out a couple wins. So this is a pick 'em. Like, don't really know which either team is going to show up. They're both kind of mid. So
I still think mid is being a little bit kind to the Broncos.
Their defense keeps them in mid territory.
That's true. Their defense is excellent. Their defense is absolutely excellent. So I can't really I don't know that Greg Roman is going to allow Justin Herbert and do the excellent things.
Sure.
So, like,
but does Justin Herbert like do those things anymore at all? I mean, it's J.K. Dobbins, maybe some Kamani Vidal sprinkled in there. Just get the ball in Ladd McConkey's hands, and you'll be good.
You just gave me an idea, and I'm going to go to my league of record and stash Kamani Vidal.
Yeah, because all it's going to take is a J.K. Dobbins injury, but we don't wish for that because
we don't wish for that.
But
there's a track record, guys.
Stop giving him trials and tribulations, please. Like it's enough.
I see the battles. I see the battles that you put on him. I don't want any parts of that.
Yeah. All right.
So man, this is tough because I feel like on paper the Chargers should win this game. But what if Bo Nix has hit his stride? Just listen. Don't hear what I'm not saying. I don't want this to happen. I have a bunch of tweets that are going to age very poorly if this happens. So I don't want this to happen, but I feel like we owe it to the people to present it maybe as an outcome.
I mean, to be fair, the one game he's had that has been serviceable was against the Raiders.
Yes.
And they couldn't. I mean, they're not very good. He says wearing a Raiders hat.
2-3.
I'm looking up
2-3. 2-3.
Oh, this here's a tweet. Michael Penix Jr. and Trey Lance were born one day apart. They're both younger than Bo Nix. Lance has studied two NFL offenses over the last few years. I would rather the Raiders give a 4 to 6 round pick for Lance than draft Penix or Nix in the first round.
Oof. Oof.
Bo Nix, future Las Vegas Raiders. Oh God, no! Please no. How about Bo Nix or Grayson McCall? That was somebody saying Spencer Rattler to the Raiders, and I said, "How about Bo Nix or Grayson McCall?" Those are my receipts.
Oh yeah.
I was higher on Bo Nix than I thought I was. All right. Speaking of the
Welcome
Raiders
home.
and mid, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers, who somehow are always the worst playoff team, and the Las Vegas Raiders, who somehow are never a playoff team. Pittsburgh traveling to the Raiders. Out for the Steelers, Cordero Patterson, Michael Pruitt. I don't like to claim him, but he's certainly not your Cole Pruitt. He's Michael Pruitt. DeMarvin Leal, Nick Herbig, Alex Highsmith, DeMonte Kazee. So that's three like key pieces in the interior defense.
Yes.
And DeMarvin Leal is pretty darn good.
Pretty
Jalen
stout.
Warren will play. He is questionable. Out for the Raiders. Devontae Adams, Michael Mayer. That's he was put on the pup list, but it's a personal thing, not injury. Zamir White is still questionable with a groin, but I don't expect him to play. Jacoby Myers has an ankle injury. Thayer Munford, who's about to. I feel like Thayer Munford's walking around the facility going, my knee and ankle feel really bad this week. I hurt. Like, and the physios are like, Thayer, there's nothing wrong. But I feel pain.
But I feel
Right.
bad.
The MRI came up negative. Yeah, but I have a sprain in my JJ Watt. My
My
ankle hurts.
Yeah, just be like, hey, this is a mental health week for me.
Right.
This is I can't.
Yeah, he's if he plays, he's about to get owned. Jackson Powers Johnson, the key to the Raiders running game, he's dealing with a knee injury. He's questionable. Tommy Eichenberg, I feel like he and Robert Spillane are the same guy, and they are
100%.
also AJ Hawk. And so Tommy Eichenberg, Ohio State rookie linebacker. And then defensive back Trey Taylor is questionable. Best safety in college football last year, and the Raiders drafted him in the 7th round. That's how deep the draft was last year.
That draft was incredible.
This is another kind of throw up your hands, and Raiders have home field advantage, but that never means anything. And then the Steelers, I keep going back and forth. I don't have any faith in the Raiders, but I also can totally see Aiden O'Connell being exactly what this team needs, and big fourth quarter comeback as long as they keep it close. Okay, I will take the next one.
Nope, I'm back. There it
You're
is.
back. Okay. Falcons at Panthers. This one is I don't think Kirk Cousins. I'm going to take the under on 508.5 yards, but it should be.
That
pretty
seems
easy.
wise, but
Should,
I have a counterpoint for you.
Okay.
It's the Panthers.
Sure. It's a trap game.
Yeah, division games. We have mentioned division games can be weird.
They're 1-4, and why did that one have to come against the Raiders? Just for the Falcons, Troy Anderson is out. Nate Landman is questionable. For the Panthers, Tommy Tremble is out with a concussion. Taylor Moton, offensive tackle, is out with an elbow injury. Austin Corbett, center, and Andrew Rame, center, both out with biceps and concussion injury. Linebacker Josie Jewell is out. Jadeveon Clowney is doubtful, but I bet you didn't know that he was even on the Panthers in the first place. Deontay Johnson is questionable every week, so this is another one. Ian Thomas, Ashawn Robinson, Dane Jackson, also questionable. Just a couple more to get through here. I see the Falcons holding court in this one. Lions and Cowboys. Lions 3-1 at Cowboys 3-2. For the Lions, Christian Mahogany is the only out, and he is on the offensive line. He's sick. For the Cowboys, Eric Kendricks and Micah Parsons is out. So they are not. The Cowboys are not coming in with their full army. Nick Vigil is questionable. Deron Bland is questionable, and Kalen Carson is questionable. This is kind of a toss-up game. It's at home in Dallas. Detroit is firing on all cylinders. I think that Dak keeps it close, but I think Detroit wins this one simply because Dallas doesn't have Micah Parsons, and he's kind of the key to their defense. Cincinnati Bengals at New York Giants. For the Bengals, Chase Brown is questionable. Mike Hilton is questionable. Zach Moss doesn't have an injury designation. For the Giants, Malik Neighbors is out and Kayvon Thibodeau is out. That's two like huge draft picks in the last couple of years to be missing. They're definitely key ingredients in that Giants offense. Well, Malik is. Kayvon Thibodeau obviously is not an offensive player. Devin Singletary is questionable. Bryce Ford Wheaton is questionable, and punter Jamie Gillen is questionable. Always sucks when your punter is questionable. What do you do?
What do you drop kick a bunch? But with Daniel Jones, he might like drop the ball and then kick it and then just completely miss, and then we have another meme that lives forever.
I am old enough to have watched football when some quarterbacks punted.
Yeah. I mean, didn't we see Tom Brady do it in the game?
Right, but I'm talking about the punter was also the quarterback.
Oh.
George Blanda was one. Danny White was the last one. And yeah, I remember like he'd be in there all 4 downs. If they had to punt, he'd punt it. And he was Cowboys quarterback.
Danny White, a little bit before my time. So before the Titans existed, I was a Cowboys fan. And then around 24, the Dez called it thing. And then Jerry Jones, I had to renounce my fandom because Jerry Jones is just a scourge when it comes to your actual franchise. So
that's true. That's very on point. Jerry Jones, former Arkansas Razorback.
Yes.
All right. I have the Giants in this one, even without Malik Neighbors. I feel like Daniel Jones is putting together a year that he always thought he could, and we never gave him credit for. Bengals have just been absolutely awful on defense.
They had some Septingle left over.
Yeah.
They just Septingled all over the end of that game. I don't know how they lost that game. Seriously, I really don't.
They should be in everything just with that offense, but something's not right. Was losing Brian Callahan that important?
Well,
not helping out the Titans.
Joe. Look, okay, all right.
I'll never say anything good about the Callahan family ever.
I don't expect you to say anything good. I'm just saying, like Joe has come along. Obviously, having T. Higgins back, a guy who's probably going to get $100 and some odd million, that helps. And I think that they should win this game, but also Tyrone Tracy and Devin Singletary could combine for 250 yards. That's how bad they are on defense.
And Wandale is
points.
Wandale is the truth, and the Giants' defense is underrated, and I can definitely see a Giants win in this one.
Oh,
all right.
Their front seven is incredible. I will say that. Their D-line is trading for Brian Burns with Chef's kiss.
And Kayvon's out.
Dexter Lawrence, Sexy Dexy, which one of my favorite sack celebrations in the entire league.
I just picked him up in a bunch of IDP leagues today.
Yeah.
And Thibodeau is out. And then finally wrapping it up, no injury calls right now, but Buffalo Bills 3-2, divisional game against the New York Jets 2-3. Let's take a commercial break. We'll come back. We'll talk about the Monday Night Football game and our top story because they're not the same, but they're kind of related. So let's do this real quick. If I can find it. Here we go.
Hey, you're in your fantasy draft and someone says, hey, that guy's injury prone. I don't want him. And you're like, I don't know. I don't think you can predict injuries. Well, guess what? Now you can! man, injury proneness is real. At Player Profiler, we have the data on these players, and it's all in the Injury Finder app. Their injury track record back through time, exactly where they were injured, how severe it is. We look at the BMI data, and we crunch it all together, and we give you probabilities that a player will miss multiple games this NFL season, as well as the complete database of NFL injuries and the ability to compare two players and look at their injury track record. The Injury Finder is powerful, and it's only $5. If it's worth it to have that peace of mind when you're drafting, go get it.
Hey, don't worry about it. It happens. On my Raiders Steelers show on Wednesday, I was having a problem with I can't use the microphone on my camera. I have to use my audio interface. And when I do that, it's too much for the computer, so it kept kicking me out of the StreamYard over and over again. It took until after the show to figure out that's what the problem was. Anyway, time for our top story, and our top story is I have it listed as quarterback carousel, but we can call it coaching carousel too. So let's go back. We'll talk about the Monday night game, the Buffalo Bills, who have been struggling, and the New York Jets, who have also not been where they want to be. So executive decisions were made this last week. Robert Saleh, head coach of the Jets, was fired. UC Davis legend Nathaniel Hackett, who shares my alma mater, he was demoted. And former Raiders coaching legend and OC, also Tennessee OC, Todd Downing, was promoted to OC. Now, you and I have personal experience. We watched the career trajectory of Todd Downing. I watched him go from quarterback coach and good friend of Derek Carr to offensive coordinator and absolutely fall on his face. And then get the job somehow in Tennessee and again, absolutely fall on his face, only to be surpassed by Arthur Smith.
Look, man.
Todd Downing, y'all.
Todd Downing makes Arthur Smith look like Bill Walsh. Like, I could not. I mean, the only good game that he ever called was a Green Bay game. He immediately got arrested for DUI, like right after the game. Like, it was like, man, I need something to take the edge off. And then he calls a beautiful game. And I'm like, okay, all right, Todd, okay. Todd Downing arrested for suspicion of DUI. Okay, that makes sense now. That makes sense now. I don't know if he's just like Mr. Coach Klein in The Water Boy and Coach Red Bellew's got his green notebook or what? Because like this is just this is gonna be so bad. This is an absolute train wreck.
Everybody thought Nathaniel Hackett was bad.
Oh, you have.
Wait a minute.
On bad.
Just. Yeah. And Nathaniel Hackett has a relationship with Aaron Rodgers. Like, they know how each other works. Alan Lazard has played in Nathaniel Hackett's system before. It didn't work out in Denver, but also the whole rest of the team was garbage, and Russell Wilson was a quarterback on the decline. Now Todd Downing steps in, and I was talking about how Gus Bradley keeps getting jobs. I don't understand how Todd Downing keeps getting jobs.
He's got to be just the world's best interview. Like, once he stops coaching,
right,
he's going to release like a 12-step process on how to BS an interview.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if you're a salesperson, you can do well in an interview. Now the Jets have a defense. They have a defense to stand on.
Have a defense.
And Buffalo has struggled. And Khalil Shakir is banged up. And Keon Coleman is not what they expected him to be. Dalton Kincaid has kind of disappeared. James Cook has been banged up too. Josh Allen hasn't been playing very well. Jets get right in this game. Move to 3-3 against the Bills. Surprise everybody.
I think that this is a Breece Hall legacy game. And I think the Jets get to 3-3, and then we can just turn the panic knob to level 10 for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, it's been coming for a while. All right, so we have all those coaching changes and everything. It's not often you get a mid-season firing, but also you have injuries and mid-season demotions. affecting 3 teams, and 3 quarterbacks are making their season and or career debuts. On the Raiders side, you have Gardner Minshew getting benched in favor of Aiden O'Connell. We've seen this script before. And then you have Derek Carr out with an oblique injury. Spencer Rattler getting his first start. If there's anything I know about Derek Carr, it's that he's an absolute dog, and he should be back next week, even if he's still injured.
If he's still, yeah. Spencer Rattler goes out, goes 201. Derek Carr is going to be on, like, in the Superdome, New Orleans, where Mercedes-Benz Stadium, whatever it's called now. He's going to be on the practice field after the game. Like, somebody's going to be in there. His personal publicist is taking videos of him doing dropbacks on air.
I'm ready, Dennis. And then in surprise to none, but to the horror of all, Jacoby Brissett is out in New England, and Drake May is going to get his rookie start. Now let's go in reverse order from the last one, Drake May. I'm high on Drake May. I drafted him in the Scott Fish Bowl. Doing my pre-rookie draft analyses, and actually, I mean, I could go to Twitter and read my Drake May tweets from 3 years ago when I was like, Drake May is the quarterback 1 in this class. That was before Caleb Williams hit in Oklahoma.
Right.
But Drake May was my dude for 3 years. He had a huge sophomore year, not so much as a junior, but his sophomore year was like Josh Allen level combination of big arm, throwing the ball down the field and running with it. His running ability is absolutely underrated and not talked about enough. He outpaced Josh Allen when he was a sophomore. His yards passing, yards rushing, touchdowns thrown, touchdowns rushed, they all exceeded Josh Allen's best year in 12 games, not 17 or 16. But it was college, so like there's that caveat there. But it was that same kind of production, but just like bigger. And so I'm huge on Drake May. Here's the problem. You guys all heard me read the injury designations for the New England Patriots. Their offensive line is decimated, and Jacoby Brissett was
That's
just
exactly what I was going to say.
Inundated all of the first 5 games. So all of the Patriots fans that I know are like, no, it's not time. Like, like don't put him out there. He's gonna get killed.
But
maybe he's mobile
with the mobility, you could do more like designed rollouts and cut the field in half and do a lot of things that would accentuate his strengths and also allow him to get involved in the run game as a quarterback. What I was going to say was I think this could be one of the better games you see from him just because there's no film.
Right.
Like, I mean, you give DeMeco Ryans a whole bunch of time to digest, and him and Azeez Al-Shaair get on the same page. You're not gonna have a great day. The fortunate part is there's no real playbook. There's no tendency on third down that they're going to be able to lean on. They have to figure this out all in real time.
Right.
So,
and we see what happens when we see how that works to some advantage when. Not necessarily with rookies, but when, like, say, Andy Dalton goes into play the Raiders, or Baker Mayfield goes in to play the Raiders for the Rams, or some other quarterback goes in to play against the Raiders. When there is no tape, they tend to be pretty successful. He's missing Ramondre, and also his receiving core is like Demario Douglas.
Let me ask you this. Do you not feel a little bit better about him being back there and potentially targeting Jalen Polk a little bit more?
Yeah, and Javon Baker too. Like I was higher on Javon Baker than Jalen Polk.
Me too. But like somehow or another, they're just not. This is a redshirt year for Javon Baker and Jermaine Burton in Cincinnati. So
yeah.
Well, it looks like we're forced to accept our portion with Jalen Polk.
I absolutely believe in the talent of Drake May. As long as he can keep himself upright, he should be good. And Jacoby Brissett is like your stereotypical plug and play backup quarterback. If your quarterback goes down, you put him in. He can like call plays and run an offense. You're not necessarily going to win the game. He's not necessarily going to make you lose the game. But again, he's not going to go out there and win it for you.
He's not going to do anything. He's not going to do anything to really impact
right
the game outside of maybe keeping you in the black on the turnover margin.
He's got a number on his jersey and his name on the back, and like that's about what he brings to the table. Now, but Drake May, like the kid has talent coming out his ears. He could surprise us. On the other hand, you have Spencer Rattler, who has kind of fallen upward. He was featured in high school on QB1, a show on Netflix.
That show stained my opinion of Spencer Rattler. And
Absolutely.
I haven't been able to give him a fair assessment at anything since.
No. I rooted for his demise every step of the way. From Oklahoma, when Caleb Williams took over, I was like, see, I was right. Spencer Rattler sucks.
Yeah, 100%.
Then he goes to South Carolina, and it was like this is my 5th year, senior year, and I'm going to go out there and make myself NFL ready. And he was not good. And then he goes into the combine, and his arm looked terrible. And he has a little bit of rushing upside, but he's not a good processor. He doesn't have a good arm. He fell in the draft. Like there's nothing to insinuate that he's going to be successful, except throwing the ball to Alvin Kamara 30 times.
Yes. I mean, hey, get the ball. Hey, he committed to getting the ball to Chris Olave. He committed. By default, he's committed to getting the ball to Alvin Kamara. So we'll see. That's the best I can do.
If he can throw 70 yards down the field, he can hit Rashid Shaheed a couple times, maybe. I'm not counting on it, but all right. And then finally, we have Gardner Minshew out in Las Vegas, and Aiden O'Connell stepping back in to take over. I've talked about this quite a bit. I thought that should have been the decision to start the season. I was very, very confident at the end of last season with the prospect of Antonio Pierce taking over as head coach and Aiden O'Connell continuing as the starting quarterback. If we weren't able to draft a quarterback in Las Vegas, I wanted Jaden Daniels. I wanted Drake May. I wanted JJ McCarthy. I even I guess wanted Bo Nix a little bit. I'm happy that we got Brock Powers and not Bo Nix. By the time those tweets were early. By the time it came around to draft time, like I was totally out on Nix, but I did want to trade. I suggested it, trade Devontae Adams for enough stuff to package for jumping up to get McCarthy, Daniels, or May. Didn't happen. So with that, we go into the season. We still have Aiden O'Connell. Last 4 games of the season, he was the only quarterback in the NFL without a turnover. He put 64 points on the Chargers. He has a great deep ball relationship with Trey Tucker. He's a pinpoint passer. Luke Getsy's offense requires a quick read, get rid of the ball, 2.5 seconds. He should be fine with that. Aaron Rodgers came out and said a good quarterback in the NFL makes the plays on time from the pocket. 3 to 6 times a game, they have to leave the pocket and make something happen. That's the opposite. Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew are opposites.
Right.
Minshew doesn't do anything from the pocket. He breaks the pocket and tries to make a play.
Exactly.
But you want a quarterback who's going to be able to sit in the pocket and make the plays on time. And Aiden O'Connell showed last year that he could do that. So going into the season, I was like, there is no controversy. It's Aiden O'Connell's job. Antonio Pierce wants him. Devontae Adams wants him. And then apparently Luke Getsy and Tom Telesco disagreed. Maybe they convinced Antonio Pierce. Maybe they put pressure on him, and he said, "Okay, you guys do what you want, and we'll deal with it down the road." But from everything that he said about Aiden O'Connell in the preseason, including saying when he said Gardner Minshew is the starter, but we're going to see a lot from both quarterbacks this season. Like he was still leaving that door open for O'Connell. He knew it was O'Connell. And this is all why I think my analysis is that it was Getsy and Telesco. And Telesco said, I gave the guy a $13 million contract. And Getsy's like, I want mobility to run my offense. But I think Antonio Pierce was like, okay, you guys, we'll try it. And then Devontae Adams was like, I hate this place.
I mean, can you blame him? It's like, hey, this guy gets me the ball a lot. This guy can't really get me the ball without me having to do some spectacular Hall of Fame level stuff. I'm looking up Luke Getsy's coaching record here.
He's another guy that benefited from having Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. So I mean, what he did with Justin Fields for a half a season, like it took them a half a season to figure out, hey, maybe I should just tailor this whole thing to, you know, his like the quarterback skill set. My quarterback who's 230 pounds and runs a 4.4. Maybe I should do more of that. I'm not a big Luke Getsy fan, but at the same
I wasn't either.
Like, yeah, I felt really, really bad when you guys got him because I was like, this is not going to go well with Devontae Adams.
We had McDonald's at home. We had a GM in place. Our interim GM was good, but we went out and hired Tom Telesco. We had an offensive coordinator, Bo Hardigree. When he took over play calling duties, the Raiders went on a run and were like 5-4. Or they were over 500 once Josh McDaniels left. Bo Hardigree was just fine, and then Luke Getsy comes in and can't call his way out of a paper bag.
Bo Hardigree's from my neck of the woods.
Yeah, just a terrible situation, and it just sets the Raiders back. And none of you care, but me. All right, so that's the state of things. Look, you know, if you go to a bar, if you don't have Sunday ticket, but make sure that you watch Drake May's debut. And then keep an eye out for the box score, Vegas and Pittsburgh. It's going to be a tough go because Pittsburgh's defense is pretty good. But I mean, Aiden O'Connell, like really, he knows what to do. Pieces. He beat Iowa, for Christ's sake. I mean,
yeah, he scored 9 points and beat Iowa.
11, I think. Yeah. All right, we're going to get out of here. We will be back with you guys next week. Make sure that you follow us on all the places, playerprofiler.com /news, Twitter at profiler_NFL. If you're watching on X, I told myself I'd never say that. If you're watching on Twitter, go to YouTube, look up Player Profiler News. Follow our Player Profiler channel. You'll see me on the Thursday Night Tailgate. Also, I have a show on this channel on Tuesdays, Dynasty Stock Market with my boy DFK. Chev, you want to tell everybody goodbye and where to find you and all that stuff?
Yeah. You can find me on the platform formerly known as Twitter on at Chev90.
Still known as Twitter.
You can follow my show. Comes out. We do 4 episodes a week. They release on Tuesdays and Wednesdays or Thursdays at 2 Guys 1 Pod FF. And you can same thing on Instagram. So yeah, give us a follow, like, subscribe. One thing we didn't, Zeus is out this week, Uncle Ted. All right, buddy. Yeah, just wanted to. Yeah, I figured out how to get over to the comments here because I'm a super boomer and just didn't piddle around with anything because I didn't want my stream to go away. But yeah,
last I saw was he was still questionable, but I've been doing shows for a couple hours, so I didn't know.
He is. Yeah, you're right. He is still questionable, but yeah, do you want to play him this week? Probably not.
No, in my lineups, he's out.
I'm just trying to help them make the decision for themselves that he's out by saying that he's out. So, yeah, but yeah, that's all. That's where you can find me. We tweet from the Player Profiler account, profiler_NFL. If it's something about the Titans, it's most likely me. So yeah, go follow us there too and interact. We're growing and we're growing fast.
Have a fun weekend, everybody. Don't forget to get up early for that Jacksonville game because you're gonna not want to miss
set your lineups, take people out of the flex and stuff.
Yeah. All right. Have a great week.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.